Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today is day 2 of 12 days of Jena's Faves. Today we also have a super exciting giveaway from one of my favorite brands, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe so that you are eligible for all of the giveaways that will be happening during the 12 days. And let's get right on to today's video, which is the worst makeup of the year. Number 1, the Say Concealer. This is one I so badly wanted to love because I love Say Beauty. Say Beauty is one of my favorite, very minimalistic brands. There's lots of products they have that are very multifunctional, so it's kind of nice to be very purposeful with your purchases. Now, in theory, I hoped that everything I ever purchased from them would work out, but unfortunately not for this concealer. This is one that was so light coverage that for me, it just did nothing for me. It did not conceal anything. It did not seem to also stay put on my face, especially in my eye area. It made it look so crepey. As soon as it sort of set down, it was like drying. It got like really kind of bunched up. It just made your under eyes look worse than what they actually were. And sometimes we like to, especially when we're trying to brighten the under eye, we're trying to make it look a little better than what it is, not a little worse. So this was something that I was so bummed out for. The shade range was a bit confusing. I remember that. It was a little bit difficult to find what shade actually worked for me. That was another con of this release. But oh, this concealer. I've heard many creators also agree with me on this one. Combination of light coverage and radiance. So many things were lacking with this one. This was a major fail this year. Let's talk about the very beginning of 2022 when I did a video on the Charlotte Tilbury Cream Matte shadows. Do you guys remember those? What a colossal failure. Like, I love Charlotte Tilbury, but I could not get those to work. I think there was very few people that could. I remember like looking at my comment section being like, what on earth is this? They were so crusty, and trying to get them to spread on the lid, to layer on the lid, to blend on the lid, nothing worked. They would crumble, they would skip, they were patchy as heck. They made your lids look crepey and really dried out, kind of crusty. I'm like, this is not something I'm ever going to choose to wear, period. Especially because her Eyes to Mesmerize cream shadows are really lovely. I was kind of excited to see a matte cream shadow come from her, and so I think I ordered the whole line, like being super excited. Like, I'm going to show you guys all the shades, I'm going to test them all, I'm going to swatch, and I'm like, wowza, oh my word, especially the black. The black was pretty crazy. I remember that being one of the worst ones, but all of these, you guys, I have never recommended them since. I think it's a colossal failure. This might be probably the worst launch of the year, I would say. Like, if I had to put a medal for probably the worst thing that I've tried this year, it would definitely be that, unfortunately. So if you were able to get it to work, amazing. I'm so glad it worked for you. But if you're wanting a cream shadow from Charlotte Tilbury, the Eyes to Mesmerize, way better, and you can definitely feel confident knowing that those will work for you. Now, speaking of Charlotte Tilbury, she also released a not so favorite launch this year. The second one, it came in the cigarette looking boxes. Do you guys remember those? I actually received these in PR as well as purchased them myself, and luckily I was able to give the ones that I didn't touch away, and I was also able to pass them on to friends who are luckily using them and making use of them. But these were not my favorite product whatsoever. So these were kind of like a makeup look in a box, so to speak, like a makeup look on the go. The cigarette box packaging, not my favorite. It looked kind of boxy, and a lot of the products themselves were also super drying and really hard to work with. They didn't blend very well, so they were not her best cream formulations either. So that was also kind of like a downside as well. But the packaging was such a fail that you couldn't even take out those products and then put a cap on them. Like, the cap was the box itself. I remember that. It didn't have a specific cap, so you had to place it back into that box. The actual cream consistency of those, not very smooth and buttery, but rather tough, harder to blend, looked very streaky on the skin, not my favorite, and these were a definite bust from Charlotte Tilbury. Next, let's talk about Pat McGrath. I feel like this was probably the worst launch that she's done. It was from the Bridgerton 2 collection. This was just a fail to me. There were a few blushes in here. I think it might have been a blush and a highlight situation, or maybe it was all blushes. I can't quite remember, but this was like a insanely intrusive packaging for a bunch of blushes. This was like the Bridgerton collection. It was all cardboard, so bulky, really hard to actually store, to be honest. It would have taken a heck of a lot of room. But I also found like the blushes to me were just okay. So with all the obnoxious packaging aside, which in my opinion, for that price point and that quality of what Pat McGrath is supposed to be, this was like a huge disappointment. When we're talking about ultra luxury brand, please don't skimp out and make us feel really foolish for spending our hard-earned money and then finding out the packaging is terrible and the product itself is subpar. Come on. You are an ultra luxury brand and you are capable of better. So that's why I was kind of like, not my favorite thing. Incredibly bulky, really hard to store, not my favorite product either, and something I wasn't excited to use, frankly. So this was one that I was like, yikes, Pat. I love your motherships. The Moonlit Seduction launch this year is probably one of my favorites, but that product was not good. I want to talk about an interesting fail. This is actually coming from Nest. Now, you guys know Nest candles and I are BFF. I love Nest candles, especially the holiday candles. I love the summer ones. I'm just a big fan of the brand. I think they have excellent throw. They're very luxurious and they burn really evenly, and it's just been a favorite. But there was one this year that came in kind of like a basket type packaging. It was a candle that sat in a basket situation, and the one that I purchased was uneven. I actually could not understand, like, could you take the candle out of the basket? Maybe you could have, but I was really scared to try, so I didn't. It was like really glued in there. So I was worried it was actually permanently fastened on. But because this basket was uneven when you sat it on a table, when you lit the candle would burn unevenly. The flame would go out because like the wax was going over top of it. It was not the same Nest experience I was used to, but it was the exact same price tag. So this was a fail to me because this is something like the consistency, the dependency of the quality of this brand. I knew that every time I spent my money, it was going to be a good experience. This was not a good experience. So in the future, if there's anything kind of like over top of the candle, I would be careful. If you see it in store, maybe put it on a shelf and see if it's level. But I guess with manufacturing, it was not made level. And because of that, I felt like I really wasted my money here. So this, unfortunately, was another fail this year. There were two mascaras, in my opinion, that were not up to snuff for me. Oh my goodness. The first one was Bare Minerals Maximist Mascara. This was one that made my lashes look absolutely terrible. I really, really wished that this was a better match, but unfortunately no. So this was one that was kind of like an extremely wet formulation. It really clumped your lashes together. It really looked like the spidery, like not so natural look. You know, I felt like I had to really work hard to make it look natural. And that's not really something that I'm looking for in a mascara. I want my mascara to enhance my lashes. And obviously, if you over apply a mascara, it's going to eventually get there. It's going to make your lashes not look the best. But I found this one was like first coat. Terrible. Like already I'm going through with like a lash comb and trying to separate everything. Then there was the issue of the flaking. So that was another thing with this one, was it seemed to flake on my skin throughout the day, like little bits of it, you know, as it settled, as it dried, whatever. You could see it on the top of my cheeks there. Not a good look either. So this was a fail. As was, which was surprising. You guys know, Benefit's one of my favorite brands when it comes to mascara. But this one, the Bad Gal Bang Waterproof. Now keep in mind, Bad Gal Bang Mascara by Benefit is fantastic. But they had made a waterproof version this year and it was not good. Whatever they added to that formula to make it waterproof went from a 10 to a 0, honestly, because this was one same situation. Clumpy, clumpy, clumpy lashes. With one layer, I felt like I was already in trouble. Made your lashes just look shorter because they were like clumped together and looked kind of gross. And also the fact that this one was an incredibly wet formula as well. It seemed to set quite a bit longer. So I felt like my lashes were wet for a long time. I had to be really careful with the rest of my makeup, kind of taking my time and making sure that my lashes were fully dry before I did anything else. So two fails in my opinion. If you're looking for mascara from Benefit, they make a lot of great ones. I have to say the Bad Gal Bang original version, the Roller Lash, both are lovely. The waterproof Bad Gal Bang, please stay away. I want to talk about another luxury brand that really disappointed me this year. They made some amazing products, but they also made a lot of duds. So let's talk about Tom Ford. On my list here, I have reminded myself of the journey that was Tom Ford this year for me. There were some beautiful launches like the cream quads and I guess the Metal Lust. I think that might have been this year. That was a beautiful one, but there was an orange palette. I cannot remember the name of it for the heck of it. I'm so sorry, but I'll put a picture here. Terrible, terrible palette. These palettes are so expensive as well. It was terrible. It was such a poor experience. Very poor swatching, obviously, and that's not the whole picture here. Sometimes poor swatches does not necessarily mean bad application, but this is also bad application. Really hard because none of that pigment would translate on the lid, so it was very hard pan. It was incredibly like soft, light opacity to the point where like nothing was going on. I was like, okay, you can have light opacity eyeshadow, but still make it look glamorous. This was like a complete waste of my money. None of these worked really well, so all four of them were duds. And then we have this collection. Let's talk about it. The Soleil Neige collection, which I unfortunately spent my money on. This is the Soleil Neige quad in Chalet Lust as well as Après Ski. Après Ski is only slightly better. Après Ski looks like this. In my opinion, the lack of versatility of this palette makes it a big, big, big dud, in my opinion, because this is one where all the shades are going to look nearly similar as you build your look. This one is even worse. This one is the Chalet Lust. And although my camera looks like there's a lot of distinction between these shades, these are incredibly sheer. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. There's like, it's basically shimmer. It's not what you think. Can you guys see that? Maybe very difficultly. This is all the shades. You can see three. There's four of them there. And I feel like this is what your eyes look like. When you put them on, it looks like shimmer and that's it. So it looks just like a uniform color even though you've placed four of them on. And then what will happen is you have all the shimmer start to collect, especially if you have hooded eyes like me. The shimmer would collect in my like crease. And I was like, okay, this is not a good look. This looks so bad. Maybe this is a warning for all of us that the Soleil Neige is just really not worth investing in. Lastly, we have the Eye and Cheek palette from Tom Ford, which I unfortunately purchased as well. This one was hella expensive. This was over $100. When I swatched this, I thought it might be all right. They swatched pretty good, but when they came to the lid, very, very poor versatility, not very easy to work with. This is not his wet dry formulation that he is literally like famous for. There's also a cream formulation now that is better than this. Somehow he puts out these subpar palettes and then he also puts out winners, and it's just like, what's what here? So it's very confusing as a consumer when you have such vast differences in eyeshadow products coming from one brand. So the Soleil Neige being really disappointing, this face and cheek palette being very disappointing, and then you have these cream collections which are gorgeous, not disappointing at all. And you have his wet dry formula from his classic quads that I have not seen lately, except for that Metal Lust palette. That was beautiful. But some of these that he's putting out are just like, just for the hell of it. You know, like, let's put something out. And I'm like, why? Definitely some misses from Tom Ford this year. Another eyeshadow palette that I was not a fan of was from Artist Couture, and this one kind of surprised me because I really like the Supreme Nudes palette from them. Having this next one be a disappointment was pretty bad. This was the Artist Couture Mauves palette. Not only were the shimmers really, really terrible, I felt like they were very disappointing. When you have other brands on the market that do shimmer beautifully, it's tough when you put out a subpar shimmer, and I'm excited about it. I'm like, no. Especially because you're still in the high-end category. You need to bump up that quality. So the Supreme Nudes palette was beautiful from this brand, but this one, not so much. It was very difficult to blend some of these shades. I felt like a lot of it was really, really poor performing. Some of the swatches were pretty terrible. So this was also a palette this year that was a major fail. Something that I didn't expect given that I had such good experiences prior. I also saw this palette marked down recently, and I'm not really surprised by that because they probably have a lot of stock and the reviews on this are just not great. The last fail of 2022 comes from Chanel. Not good. You know what? Not every brand that I love is gonna hit a home run every time. This is definitely a product that fell short for me. This was actually from the Camellia collection, and this was the blush lip balm hybrid product. This was an incredibly sticky product, so when you placed it as blush, it never actually set down on the skin. So you guys can tell, I mean, I have some hair that's longer, in my opinion, longer. It sometimes blows in my face like this, like when I'm out and about. And if I have sticky blush, it's going to stick to my hair. Not fun. I also don't think like it's very settling to have something sticky remain sticky on the face. It's very like, I don't know, it just gives me the creeps. I don't really like that. I want everything smoothed out. Having something stay tacky is kind of like an uncomfortable feeling for me. So a blush idea, not good. Not good for that. With the lips, the same thing. Because it was so tacky, I didn't find it enjoyable as a lip product either. So for a Chanel price point, this was supposed to be a product you could use either or. I was really disappointed in this one. It's nice when you're splurging on that kind of a product and you can use it for 2 uses, but both of the uses failed. It was not my favorite. So because of that, this was also a fail. I really loved the Camellia foundation this year. I really, really loved a lot of that launch, but the blush and lip combo tint thing, major fail. Now let's get on to today's giveaway. This is going to be day 2 of 12 days of Jena's Faves. And today I've partnered with Velour Lashes to give you a lovely, lovely gift for the winner this time. So once again, subscribe to my channel, and this time leave a comment in the comment section about the worst performing makeup product that you came across this year. And that's all you have to do to enter. This year, I'm keeping it very, very simple. If you want additional entries, you can follow me on Instagram and you can send me a DM on Instagram that you want to be entered into this giveaway. Once again, I'm going to caution you guys, do not fall for people impersonating me. I'm not going to ask you for money to help out with the shipping. Come on, giveaways for you are fully included from me. Okay, we're not going to ask for money so I can ship you a prize. I don't even think that makes sense. So be aware of people that impersonate me. Nobody has won any giveaway until December 14th, when I will be announcing the giveaway winners on my community tab as well as my Instagram stories for the public to see. Then I will get a hold of you after that to arrange for shipping and things like that, should you still want the prize. So that's how we're going to do it. The prize from Velour Lashes. Now, Velour is going to be sending the winner this prize once I select the winner. So they're going to be in charge of shipping the item to you, which means this is also only going to be available for Canadians and Americans. Tomorrow's giveaway is going to be international, so stay tuned for that. But the winner for today's prize is going to get a set of the Velour Lashes Twice as Nice Luxe Kit from the holidays. You guys, I love this set. Now, this is my set. Mine has been opened. Nobody is getting my set. That would be weird. This one comes with a full lash adhesive, the full size, which is one of my favorites, you guys. The only lash adhesive I use. And I also really, really love the Velour Lashes in here because this is my favorite brand. This is a brand that if I'm wearing lashes, 9 times out of 10, it's theirs. This is one that has 2 lashes in here, 2 pairs. One is called Serendipity. It's a flared and wispy pair for that perfect like no makeup look. And the other pair is called Can't Be Tamed, which is a full lash for a party look. You can use them multiple times. They really hold their value. And I also like that they look like lashes. They don't look like plasticky and fake looking. So I love this. This is a perfect limited edition set that one of the winners is going to be getting. Once again, Canada and the US only for this one. Leave a comment with the worst performing makeup product that you got this year as your entry. And also don't forget to be subscribed. That will also be a qualifier to win. Extra entries will be for Instagram, like I already mentioned. So Santa Jena is hard at work with the rest of the giveaways. I've also brought my elf here, Harvey, to say goodbye for now. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and we'll chat soon. Bye guys!